Hi, welcome to my build of a 60-inch wingspan Avanti Pattern Plane. I've prepared all of the components that I need now to start the fuselage, except for the odd piece which I need to measure once the fuselage has actually started to come together. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be gluing on the doublers onto the fuselage sides, and then adding on the wing seat stiffeners to both sides, and then there's triangular section that needs to go on the fuselage, on the tail section, and also some up front, and we've got the mounts to go in for the engine, and I need to mark out where the cross members go. So I'm going to get on and do that now, and it's going to be really exciting to see this start to take shape. I'm quite excited about doing it. There's still a little bit more finishing needed on some of these cross members, but I'll do that just before I bring everything together. Well, I've now done as much as I can on the fuselage sides. I've installed the doubler right from the front to this back of the trailing edge of the wing. I've got these wing seat stiffeners, and I've glued 12mm triangular section along the top here, and I've done 12mm there, and I've got some 10mm along the bottom, and I've also put on these longerons along the top of the fuselage, so it's like that. I've put them both back to back and checked that they're identical, clamped them together, and given them a bit of a sand. I've also got the initially when I glue it together, I'm just going to put in 3 of the cross formers. There'll be this one, there'll be this one, and then we've got the one at the front with the nose gear. These are all parallel, so there's no problem there. I can clamp that all together, and then once that's dried, I'll do the tail section. I've got these cross pieces here, and I'll put that over the plan, and I'll pinch it in and set those in. This former here, I'm actually not going to glue it in when I glue the other side, the 2 sides together. So it will be glued just on these 2 formers. In the plans and the instructions it says to glue this in, but I want to be able to remove this because I'm going to lock the wings into this section, into the base of this cross piece here. So I want to be able to mark it, take this out, cut the slot in, or maybe circle holes. So what I'll probably do is just take the end of this triangular piece off, so this just slides out. But I will have it in for when I clamp them together, just to get everything square and parallel. So that's the next job, really. It's quite nice to see it start to take shape. I mean, these side pieces really are quite heavy and chunky at the moment. The nose, I've got pieces in here, the side of the engine mount, and there's some quite big blocks to go here. And like I say, it does look very big and very chunky. It doesn't look like the sleek aeroplane it's going to be, but there's a huge amount of planing, sanding to get this down to a lovely streamlined nose. And you can see that there's these bits of balsa in the engine mounts, which allow you to really take that nose in. So I'll get on now, and I've also attached the front, the nose wheel gear. I still need to clean this paper off before I go any further, but I've done that now, and I will bolt the nose gear on once I've glued the 2 side pieces together. I won't use these. I'll use machine screws with an Allen key. because this is going to be very restricted here in the nose, and you'd never get a screwdriver in if you had to take those off, but you'd get an Allen key in there hopefully. So okay, well I'm going to get on now, and that's the next job, to glue these together, and we'll come back and have a look at that a bit later on. Just a couple of very minor points before I start gluing all this together. As well as working out where I'm going to mount the front landing gear and putting the holes in for that, I've also put the holes in for the control linkage. I've actually put two, so I've got a little bit of option on which hole on the landing gear I use. I've also put a couple of holes in at the bottom there, which line up with the fuel inlet and outlet for the tank. The tank comes in the back, so that will come through to the engine. And I've also done a hole for the just about see probably for the throttle linkage. I'm going to actually glue this into place like this on these blocks, which will protect the top of the turtle deck here on that former, and I've stuck into place just a couple of pieces of scrap balsa using magic tape, so that when I'm clamping I'm not obviously not damaging the fuselage, but also when I'm clamping I'm not scrabbling around trying to hold blocks and clamp at the same time. I just thought that would make things a little bit smoother. So I will get on and start gluing this together now. I'm going to be using epoxy just to hold these two main formers, particularly this one as it's the firewall. I've spent quite a bit of time on the fuselage, and I've now got both sides glued together. I've shaped this back edge here and pulled it in. I've put in the formers for the turtle deck. The formers are glued in, but these stringers aren't. They're just placed in at the moment and still need gluing. And as with this aft deck here and this sheeting here, so I'm just trying to get everything in place before I glue it. But it's nice to see it's starting to take shape. One thing I did do when you cut the slots for this angled former here, this forms the back of the cockpit, I cut those last after these stringers were in place, and some of the holes are a little bit bigger than I would have liked, so I will probably put a little bit of gap filling glue in there, such as epoxy. I could have done that better, to be honest. The underside, if you look at the article that comes with the plans, they talk about sheeting this now, but actually I'm not. I'm going to leave that till really late on so that I can get in here when I'm doing my control linkages. It'll just make life a little bit easier. The fuselage is really starting to take shape now. I've spent some time doing the turtle deck and particularly working on this planked piece here, and it's really exciting to see it, really starting to take shape, and it gives me an insight into what this fuselage is eventually going to look like. There's still a huge amount of material to be taken off the sides of the fuselage and also the bottom once that's sheeted in, and particularly around the nose section. I mean, that just looks like a big block at the moment, but this really comes down to a lovely bullet shape. And you've got the chunks of balsa in here, and there's some big pieces to go underneath that allow you to do that shaping. But I'm going to call a halt to this now, because what I need to do now is build the wings and work out on the wing fitments, how the wing fitments are going to work. And I've got this removable former here still, which to do any more on the fuselage I need to have this fixed in now. But before I can fix this in, I need to work out the wings. As I've said previously, the wings were originally attached with a piece of dowel front and back and elastic bands. But I want to make something a bit more it's going to look a bit sleeker, a little bit better than that. So I'm going to put fixing screws in the back, and I'm going to lock it into this former, and hence that's why I need to take that out to cut the slots or the holes or whatever. And also I'm going to need to do some profiling. There's quite a bit of balsa that will need to come off here, get an incidence meter on it, make sure I get those wings just in the right place. So this is part one of the fuselage, if you like, now, and this is going to go on one side until I've got the wings done, and then we'll come back to this, fit the wings, and then finish off this bullet shape. But it's really exciting to see this sleek shape starting to develop.